Hi, sister friends. Welcome back to another solo Wellish episode. Hey, friends, it's Sarah Rittendale. When I decided to act against all the toxic thoughts and feelings I was living with daily and try to become my best self, I quickly fell into the very common trap of perfectionism. So, I decided to create a space where wellness doesn't mean being flawless. Becoming the best version of yourself doesn't just come from conversations about managing your mean mind, learning confidence, and always doing the things that you're supposed to do. Here, we talk about how normal your toxic feelings and thoughts are, that you're not doing something wrong because you don't always feel, think, or act how you envision your best self to, how to implement self-improvement strategies in a realistic way, and we do this through a variety of topics that often prompt our best selves to crave emergence. My mission? Inspire you to recognize that you don't have to be perfect to consider yourself whole, healthy, and well. This is the Wellish podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Rittendale, and I'm super excited to talk to you about today's topic, perfection paralysis. The reason this topic came about was because I was talking to several of you in the DMs. I was talking to you guys from the polls that I had asked you what you wanted to hear on Wellish, and an overwhelming response was surrounded around perfection paralysis. So I thought we would take this Monday before the holidays to talk about it, because it really is something. If you're a perfectionist, if you're healing that piece of you, it's something that I think could be really useful, not just in the holidays coming up here when we could maybe start to feel our brains and our perfectionism get a little crazy, but also in the new year, setting resolutions, having that inevitable motivation to better your life. It would be really important to approach it with this knowledge in the back of your head of what perfection paralysis is and how to start when you feel stuck. So we're going to get into, what exactly that means, what it looks like. Is this something that you're affected by? We'll kind of diagnose that a little bit in the beginning. And then I'll give you guys some practical takeaways, how to, start getting yourself unstuck from that perfection paralysis and reframe your thought process. Hold on, I'm dying. And to reframe your thought process from not being good enough until it looks exactly as you picture it in your mind, and to being happy with any results that you put effort into. So if you have ever felt yourself feeling overwhelmed by the effort of doing something and being afraid that if you don't execute it exactly as you pictured in your mind, or in other words, this alleged perfection, then it's not going to be good enough, and so it causes you to do nothing at all. And then you're disappointed about that too. So we're going to get into how to work through this and overcome this. I feel like this used to be the only way that I existed. Like, unless I was fully prepared and was capable of executing the thing that I was picturing in my mind to perfection, that I would do it. So, for example, I would read a book, a self-help book, and it would teach me how to set boundaries. And until I felt confident enough to set the boundary, until I felt confident enough to execute it in exactly the way that I saw fit, I chose to do nothing, because I was so terrified of screwing it up, of what the result would be if it didn't go exactly as I pictured in my mind, and that could somehow make things worse. So in my mind, it was easier to scare myself into doing nothing at all than to even put any effort in, to try even just a little bit. So what is perfection paralysis? I did a quick Google search here just now so I could get the exact definition for you guys. Perfection paralysis is a state of being where the fear of not being perfect prevents someone from taking action, completing tasks, or making decisions. Now, this can be simple, this can be, I was telling you guys on my Instagram, if you haven't heard or you don't follow at Wellish Podcast, to hear the full story about why Wellish was posted late last week. I took a tumble. Your girl ate shit. I recorded the episode that I was doing well, and for my personal progress, I said all is good, all is happy for me. And then literally hours later, I tripped over my own feet, face planted on my tile floor, and busted my tooth and had giant fat lips. You can still kind of see, not really see, you can't even tell if you're with us on YouTube. Mouths are so weird, they heal so fast. But so my point is, I had to go to the dentist and I'm having a crown put on, and the dental assistant was shaping my temporary crown, and she was trying over and over and over and over, and it took tons of tries until one of her colleagues came in and was like, hey, don't kill yourself over this. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect. Like, as long as it's comfortable and it fits in her mouth, it's good enough. And she was like, it's just the kind of person I am. I'm just a perfectionist. And it's so relatable. Like, it's on these, like, it's simple things that like are daily tasks that we're not even thinking that much into. We don't even realize that maybe we are causing ourselves to stop just for this fear of not being, for it not being what we pictured in our minds, or for it not being good enough. And again, it could be these small, minuscule things that you don't even realize that you're being a perfectionist for, but it can also be more intense things like being able to set boundaries, or having confidence, or asking for a raise, whatever it is that's causing it to happen to you. It's interesting just how many areas this really can be impactful. So why do we get stuck? I think it would be really important to really get an understanding of what it is that causes this fear for you. So making sure to like think about yourself, obviously, while we talk about this and the ways that this could potentially apply to your life. But I think with that knowledge, if we just make ourselves aware of that, it's so much, puts you so much closer to not being paralyzed by perfection mindsets anymore, because once you get in front of it just in the knowing, so you can recognize it for what it is, it'll prevent you from following suit with what the fear wants you to do, how it wants you to show up. And instead you'll be able to show up how you want to show up, and again, not in the way that the fear is dictating you to. I think one of the biggest reasons we get stuck is that fear of judgment or fear of failure. We fear that if we don't do things in our version of perfection, that we're not going to look good enough for other people. We're going to embarrass ourselves because it doesn't show up exactly how we want it to. We want so badly to achieve this image that we aren't allowing ourselves to inch toward it at all, but instead expect the instant gratification of the end result right away. And therefore we don't make any effort, because if I make even just a little bit of effort and somebody sees me make that effort and not get the grand result right away, or just not have the just even the embarrassment of maybe making that little effort and not going for like the whole thing, if that makes sense, if you're understanding what I'm saying, could set you up for fear of judgment. And then the fear of failure would follow that same thing, having, that is fear of judgment too, like fear of failure, and then other people see you fail and then you're afraid of that judgment, but also just like fear of failure within yourself, feeling like, what if you're not capable of achieving this end goal, fearing that makes you not good enough, fearing that when you fall short from the thing that you're trying so hard to get perfect, you screw it up. It's just that it's funny because like when I say these things out loud, it really makes me go, okay, so then what? And what if that happens? Then what? And then you just choose a different course of action and you move from there. But see, that's because of the awareness that I have for these fears and the things that cause that perfection. So if we are, again, aware of the fears, we can get in front of it a little bit more and then see it for what it is and say, okay, so what if that happens? Then what are we going to do? I trust that I can handle it in the future. But those things and getting so caught up in your head and not bringing anything into the physical, it can be so paralyzing. On that same note, I think another thing that really causes this paralysis is overthinking and indecision. And that's one of the points in the literal definition of what perfection paralysis is that making decisions. That's a part of it, but also just like the overthinking mind. And I heard one time how, the thinking is a part of your process. So like, let's pretend you want to start a YouTube channel, or you want to write a book, or you want to open a restaurant, and you haven't made a move yet. That thinking about it, that planning it in your mind, that is a part of the process. And that kind of made me take a deep breath about it. However, the problem lies in too much thinking. Like, there's thinking and there's overthinking. Thinking leads to action. Overthinking leads to inaction. So when you're in this overthinking, indecision state over and over for long periods of time, it causes perfection paralysis. We're not taking action. We're just sitting here ruminating on all of our options and not just choosing one, going with it and seeing what happens, and then handling what happens once we get into that next situation. We're just going to sit here stuck, do nothing, and hope that we think it through enough that we approach it in the perfect way so that we can reach our perfect outcome. And then the last one that I could really think of when I was reflecting back on when I'm feeling this feeling is that I think that there's a lot of the time you have this like unrealistic expectation for yourself. And let me use an example that I feel I've used a lot on the podcast, is that I used to think that once I set something in motion, that's what I had to do until I die. Like, I have to set up a morning routine, and this is the morning routine that I'm going to do every single day until I die. And I allowed no room for flexibility, fluctuation in my life that inevitably is going to happen. There's always change. Everything is temporary. And so it almost sets you up to not have that room to grow when you set too high of expectations for where you're at, the skill level you're at now. All you end up feeling is disappointed and overwhelmed and aggravated because you are putting the work in. It's the knowledge to skill gap. You're learning, you're growing, you're listening to stuff like Wellish, you're reading books, you're following stuff on the internet, whatever it is that you're doing to get yourself through your journey, therapy, whatever it is, if it's professional help, if it's not. And when you have the knowledge, you have your brain is smart enough. You are capable, you are smart enough to understand how something works, but you don't have the skill yet to go out into the world and practice it. You're setting too high of expectations for yourself, causing yourself to fall into this perfection paralysis, that it's not going to happen exactly as you read it in your self-improvement book. That means you can't act on it at all, and so you won't do anything, because instead of doing it and it not being awesome, but you still did something to work towards that, you do nothing, and now you have no result. It's like you're stuck in quicksand. The more you struggle, the more you flail, the more you're raking through all of the things that you could do in order to make this happen for yourself, the quicker you sink, the more you struggle. And that kind of coincides with what I was talking about last week, how it's like I will live fully in my brain and not in the physical. And I feel like I'm taking action because I'm spending so much time raking through my thoughts, ruminating on these ideas that I have, and you get caught up in that, and it just feels overwhelming and like you're drowning more than anything. And it feels like all of the work that you're putting in, I mean, I say quote unquote, but like all of the real work that you're putting in by like researching and figuring out how to grow your emotional intelligence or just intelligence in general, you don't ever get to practice that, and you don't build your skill set on it. So you just struggle and drown. It's very fun. Here's where we're going to get into the real important piece: how to start when you're stuck. My first tip is going to sound a little silly and weird, but lower the bar, okay? I feel like everybody is always hyping to raise the bar. Like, if you've ever heard of Grant Cardone, 10x everything. You should 10 times everything. Whatever you're capable of doing, do 10 more times than that. Shoot for the moon and you'll land in the stars. And I think that is a really good mentality, but it's a good mentality for long-term goals, not for short-term success, and definitely not to get you unstuck from perfection paralysis. When it comes to actually getting unstuck, you have to lower the bar. Again, not lowering the bar on your long-term goals, lowering the bar on what it is you can accomplish today so that you can take a small step in the right direction to eventually get you to your high standard, high bar, long-term goal. Set a goal that feels so ridiculously small, it's impossible to fail. So if you have a long-term dream, reach for the moon, land in the stars dream of writing a Court of Thorns and Roses series level book. Okay. You want to be the next Sarah J. Maas. You want to be the next Colleen Hoover. You want to be the next author, J.K. Rowling, whatever, right? She's controversial, but you know what I mean? You want to be the next name author that everybody's talking about, that's going viral, all of the things, right? Okay. Big goals, big dreams, achievable dreams, but you haven't done anything in order to make that happen because you don't know where to start. You feel overwhelmed. You're overthinking it. You're feeling like, anything you write wouldn't be good enough. If you are literally trying to write a book and you feel that way, literally just go listen to some audio tapes. You could realize that you could really do anything because there's really not good ones out there, and it'll make you feel a lot more capable. But let's think it through and lower it down to what we'd be capable of doing today. So again, setting a goal that is so ridiculously small, it feels stupid and it feels like it's impossible to fail. Write one sentence today instead of one chapter. Just write one sentence and then you can be done for the whole day. And you can come back tomorrow and maybe you can write 2 sentences or a paragraph, or maybe you write that one sentence and it's enough to kickstart you to keep going. Maybe you only write a couple of paragraphs and then you come back 15 minutes later, an hour later, 5 hours later, and you keep writing. You keep writing more, and it's enough to get you kickstarted compared to just doing nothing at all. But it's enough to just, again, get you unstuck, get you moving in the direction towards your long-term goal. With that lower bar that you set for yourself, you'll be able to feel like you're capable of achieving that goal. You're building your self-trust to know that you're capable of making things happen for yourself, and you're only going to progress from there. My second tip is to focus on progress instead of perfection. It's easier said than done, but the easiest way that I feel I've been able to really achieve this is giving myself permission to not be perfect and literally saying that to myself. I give you permission to not be perfect. I give you permission to try this and not be perfect. I promise I will not be mad at you. I promise I will not rack your brain with ruminating thoughts after it happens about how you suck and the millions of ways that it could have gone better. I promise I will not do that. And I promise if those thoughts come up, I will send them on their way and trust that they will come back in a constructive manner if and when that is necessary. But giving yourself that permission to not act in the way that you exactly picture in your head is enough a lot of the time of the push that you need to act on what you want to achieve, just because you have already got in front of you feeling disappointed with yourself when it doesn't go the perfect way. It helps you not stand in your own way in that sense. And then little by little, you can start to learn how every step, even if it's small, obviously makes a difference. My third tip is reframing your thinking, and this is something that has been stuck in my mind since our interview a couple weeks ago, and the power of reframing your thoughts. If you have the ability to ask yourself, instead of saying, what if I fail? What if this is stupid? What if I come off as whatever? Changing that wording to, what if this is an opportunity for me to learn something new? What if me vocalizing this out loud puts it into other people's heads and they get me connected to somebody that would help me reach my long-term goal, like with the book example, a publicist? What if I do just write one sentence and that's enough to get me kickstarted, instead of what if I just write one sentence and then I get bored and I fail and I don't want to do it anymore, which also, that it tells something. If you really want to do something, you'll do it. But having that ability to reframe your lines of thought and practicing that over time will help you get unstuck, because it allows you to see the potential that you could achieve if you got yourself out of this like rut, because essentially that's what you're stuck in, right? You're stuck in this rumination rut and can't get yourself out of it. So if you can reframe your thoughts to slowly pick your way out of that space, it'll help you take a little bit of action when you start to believe those words that you're saying in your head, and allowing those words that you're saying in your head, the positive ones, the reframed ones, to hype you up and get you motivated to do it. Because you can see how as easily as you could steer yourself in the negative thought path, you can steer yourself in the positive one as well. Or just even a realistic one. I hate to use positive and negative, as you guys know, but you reframe it to a way that you feel happy, that makes you feel good, it makes you feel empowered. It gets you unstuck. It helps you achieve what it is you're trying to achieve. Don't kill me for the fourth tip, okay? Because I know it's annoying, but it really is just so true. Just start. You just have to take action and practice as much as life gives you the opportunity to practice. You're gonna suck at the beginning. Like, I cannot stress enough how badly I want to get it through your heads that you have to just start, and it is going to suck. Both of those things are true. Maybe it won't suck. Maybe it'll be fine. Maybe you'll be really good at it. Who knows? It's not a foolproof thing, but it is more likely than not, you're going to, I say suck at it, because the more you practice, you'll get even better at it. Even if like your starting point is like you're an annoying person that is good at everything you do, and we all hate you for it because we have to struggle our way to your starting point. But if you're one of those people that is really good at the starting point, the more you practice it, inevitably, the better that you're going to be. So no matter what you do, you have to just start and know that the more you do it, it's going to get better. If it's you want to start content creation and your posts don't look like your favorite influencer's posts, first of all, those people have teams of people working with them, but also they just have practiced. You'll learn the things that work for you and the things that don't, and your vision is always going to be changing and updating, and things that you think look good or sound good or work and don't work are always going to improve. And you're always going to look back at your old work and be like, ew, that sucked. Think about when we all first got Instagram, okay? If you are bold enough and don't have shit in your archives, and you have your whole old Instagram photos, or you go through all your whole archive and you go through all your old Instagram photos, and you look at your very first post, you're like, ew, what the fuck was she thinking? Or Facebook blessing us with memories, that needs to literally go. Like, we look at these old statuses that we published when we were young, and you just cringe and you're like, what the hell? It's because you always get better at things as you move on. Right now, you cringe at that and you say, ew, why would she ever act like that? Okay, but in 10 years, that person might look back at the old version of you and cringe at what you're doing right now. It's all just you act with the knowledge that you have at that given time. So you have to just start and move forward and know that it will get better. Even imperfect, shitty, garbage action is action. Even doing things that suck are doing something. They are teaching you something, and they are getting you closer to your end goal. I would love for you guys to take a moment now while we're sitting here. You don't have to do anything intense. This isn't that serious. You don't have to stop and get out a notebook and change your whole life. Nobody's telling you to run into swift action, solution making, whatever. Like, that's what I used to do when I would listen to podcasts. I would like finish the episode and I'd be so inspired by it that I would get to the end of it, and then I would go back through it and I would notate like the whole thing and create this new list of things that I was going to do in my life to change my life. It's not that serious. I just want you guys to sit with me for a moment while we're all here anyways, and think about ways that perfection paralysis is stunting you? What areas of your life are you so worried about getting everything right that instead you do nothing at all? Think about it with me for a minute. Is it your job? Is it your relationship? Are you not putting yourself out there because you're afraid of getting rejected because you don't look perfect, or because you don't act perfect, or because the perfect guy isn't going to be there on the first chance, perfect girl, whatever, on the first chance? Are you, like I said, job? Are you not going for the interview that you think you deserve? Are you not applying for the job that you really would love because you don't know if your qualities align with that? Is that what it is? Your qualities, your capabilities, like whatever you would write on your resume, like that. Do you have those? They don't all fit the description. You only have 2 of them instead of the 10 listed, so you're not going to apply. Are you afraid to ask for the raise because you don't know exactly how to word the email to your boss? Maybe it's in your own self-improvement and boundary setting and standing up for yourself and sharing your true opinion with other people instead of people pleasing. You don't know exactly how to word these things to people that cause you stress and chaos in your life. And so instead you say nothing at all and you just walk the other way because you think that it's better to just not even give your energy to those people because they don't deserve it. And it's true that they don't, but if it's something that you ruminate on and you feel that you need to communicate with somebody, if it's somebody that you have in your life, you can't just get rid of them. It's a family member, whatever the situation is. Why aren't you confronting it? Why aren't you setting your boundary? Why do you feel afraid to say something to that person? Do you feel afraid of their judgment? Do you feel afraid of stumbling over your words and failing in your standing up for yourself and maybe making yourself look even more stupid? What is it that you are afraid of? What is it that you want to get right so badly that you're doing nothing at all? Now that you have it in your head, you can take it for yourself, you can digest the knowledge, you can be fully aware of it so that this week you can try to take one small step in order to get close to your end goal and feel proud of yourself for taking a little bit of action instead of just living in your head and sitting in your thoughts with us. Also, I would love to cheer you on, so message it to me. Hold yourself accountable and throw it on an Instagram story and tag @Wellish Podcast in it and say what it is that you're going to accomplish this week, what it is that you're going to take one step and move in the right direction. I would love to hear, and I would love for you guys to inspire each other to start making progress on the things that you want in your life so that you can start building the life that you want to have, life by design. I've got one more solo episode for you guys before we get back into the interviews. So next week, I'm going to be talking to you about how to stay grounded during the holidays, how to not have stress for your holiday, coming from somebody who's got a lot of stress and chaos in her holiday dynamic. I've got a lot of moving pieces, and I'm about to get real transparent and open up to you guys about some of that drama and how it can help you get through it, how I can help you kind of sort through your mind stuff in order to just be happy, cruise through, and not let these annoying people get under our skin. After that episode, I did decide for the 30th that I'm going to allow myself to take a break. So there's not going to be any episode on the 30th. And then we're going to kick our new year off with an interview about embracing discomfort. So you've got those couple things to look forward to here soon. If you loved this episode, please share it with a friend that you think might need a little nudge in getting unstuck. And if you could rate and leave a review for the show, it really helps find more amazing listeners just like you to come to Wellish and learn that you do not have to have it all together, and wellness isn't about being perfect and a cute little Instagram, Pinterest video photo, that you can make mistakes. Things are always going to be messy, but that doesn't mean that you're not well and you're not good enough. Remember, progress and reaching your end goal isn't about perfect. It isn't about getting every step leading up to it perfect. It's not about reaching the end goal instantly perfectly. It's not about any of that. It's about the steps that you take over time, all of the little imperfect steps that you take over time to get you to your eventual inevitable end result. It's about showing up for yourself, proving to yourself that you love you, that you're capable of helping you, that you're capable of getting yourself in life where it is you want to go one step at a time. I have full faith in you. I know you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. Full faith out here. All right. Fully supporting you, my friends and sisters. Thanks for hanging out. I will talk to you guys next Monday. Bye.